Well, it's hard. I mean, let's start just with the concept gender ideology, right? I mean, this is a notion that emerged out of the World Congress of the Family. It was discussed in the over the last 25 years, if not more. The Vatican took some pretty strong stands against gender, and the idea of gender as an ideology is the idea that it is one position. It's a dogma, and that those who adhere to it are either totalitarians, as some of the German critics have said, or they are trying to seduce your children. They're a danger to children. They're trying to teach children to be gay, or teach children to masturbate, or teach children to be trans, or, and of course, the idea that it's an inculcation, that, okay, here's the dogma, and now we're going to impose it on people, and these kids have to, they're recruiting, or worse, we're pedophiles who are seducing. So, for some, it is a diabolical ideology, and in fact, the Vatican did use that word, suggesting that this is the contemporary work of the devil. And if it is the devil, it will try to trick you, and its aim is to defeat God, to be the rival to God, and to defeat God. So when Pope Francis said that gender is like a nuclear bomb, or likened its adherence to Hitler Youth, we recognize right away that this is an inflamed idea of the power of a certain kind of construct. And, we could take it apart intellectually. He doesn't think people should be free to choose their gender. He can accept gay and lesbian people as long as their sexuality is not a choice. That's not an expression of freedom. It's a necessity of some kind. They're God's children. We have to accept them. But there's also an idea of freedom that is very frightening to at least some of the both evangelical and Catholic opponents of gender, which is also, I think, clear in the abortion debates. Should women really have the freedom to decide, or should pregnant people more broadly to decide to have an abortion or not? Or should that be the state's interest? And the US Supreme Court said it's the state's interest. We need to intervene because women should not be exercising this freedom. Right. So the limitation on freedom is very intense. And I'm talking not metaphysically or anything like that. I'm actually talking about political freedoms. So we could all have different accounts of why we have the sexuality that we do, if we have one, or why we're drawn to be this or that gender, or how we experience that. Those are all interesting intellectual questions. But, should this be a permissible zone of freedom is the question that many people are asking. And when the Vatican says, look, they think they can create themselves, those trans kids, those trans people, those genderqueer, whatever, they think they can create themselves. Well, the power of creation belongs to God alone. They're trying to steal the power of creation. Now, most gay, lesbian, trans people don't think they create themselves from nothing. They are dealing with a complex constitution. Like, this is my desire, this is my identification. We can debate about where that comes from. But the idea that the political freedoms that gay, lesbian, trans people should have, women, pregnant people, that those political freedoms should be restricted because freedom challenges the primary place of God and religious authority, is really central, I think, to this whole this whole thing. And it's contradictory in some interesting ways, right? Like, gender theories